Hello everyone, and welcome to Tech Forum Online. Thanks for coming to learn about what's new from BookNet on LibraryData. I'm Hannah. I'm the product coordinator for sales data and library data at BookNet. It's my pleasure to be here and talk to all of you about what's new this year in the world of library data. For those of you not familiar, let me provide an introduction. LibraryData is Canada's first ever system for the aggregation and analysis of data from public libraries across the country. The system launched in beta in summer of 2019 to 24 participating library systems, and in April 2020 to the rest of the industry, including publishers, retailers, wholesalers, sales agents, and all Canadian libraries. With reports delivered weekly to the system, LibraryData functions as the ultimate source of nationwide data on circulation and collection holdings, providing unprecedented insight into the public library market in Canada. LibraryData is integrated with sales data, our existing national sales tracking service. This allows library performance to be examined in context with retail sales. To start off, I'd like to provide an overview of what you can do with LibraryData and the sort of reporting available in the system. The first report, and the real bread and butter of LibraryData, is the popular books, which allows you to rank based on loans, holds, or orders to analyze demand from patrons and libraries. When you set up the criteria, you're able to select the aggregated library data you want to view, which could be a library system, an individual branch, or a group of libraries like a province or a region. You'll also be able to apply subject or language filters and choose how you want the report to be ranked. This could be based on the highest loans, highest holds, loans per copy and holds per copy ratio, as well as the number of copies on order if you want to see the most popular forthcoming titles. The next option is the book activity report, which allows you to track the activity of a single item. It's a great way to do a deep dive onto a particular title. Another report you can leverage is the collection gaps. This is a powerful collection analysis tool that libraries can use to identify high-performing titles that you may want to add to your collection that are currently missing. Using the Collection Gaps report, you can compare any library to any other library, a library branch, or to the retail sales market to identify titles that you may want to add to a collection. You can filter out titles that are out of print or otherwise not available, which are obviously hard to obtain, as well as apply thresholds for loans, holds, and on-order quantities, so you know exactly what you're getting and you can make an incredibly tactical report. The next report is the Bestseller Circ. This returns the weekly bestseller report from the retail market and displays the selected library stock and circulation for those titles. This is a really great way to see at a glance if the titles that are moving in retail are in stock at your library and see how they're circulating. Like the other reports, you can filter by subject and language, so you can dive in on a particular segment of a collection and get a quick, up-to-date glance on the bestsellers and whether or not your library has them and if they need to be added to the collection. Finally, we have the Trend Analysis Report, which allows you to track the performance of a subject or language as it changes over time. This allows libraries to track the performance of whole subjects or languages to help plan your collection, so you can see the performance of a subject grow and change over time. This can also really help with collection development planning and also understanding how patron tastes change. A particular feature of LibraryData that I am very excited about is the ability to save and distribute reports on a scheduled basis. Let's dive into the LibraryData live site, and I'll give you a quick demo of that functionality. So here we are at LibraryData. This is a popular books report that I've run for demo purposes. It's showing the titles with the highest number of holds for the week ending March 28th, 2021. After you run any report in LibraryData or sales data, you'll see this button over here that allows you to share or save the report. When you select Download or Email Now, a pop-up window will require you to choose the download parameters for your report. You can choose the format as Excel or CSV, and the size based on the row limit. You can choose any of the preset options up to 50,000 rows. There's also an option to include the criteria selection if it's useful to you to see exactly which filters have been applied to the search when you look at this report in the future. From here, you have the choice to download and close, which will save the report automatically to your device and close the pop-up window, or click the Next button and choose who to email the report to within your LibraryData account. Email Now allows you to pick the recipients you would like to receive the exported report file. And you have two options in the email process. You can either send the report to people within your group by selecting their names in the drop-down list here, or type in one or more external email addresses for people not registered to our system. You can use a combo of both or either. So closing that one, I'm going to pop over to the Save and Distribute menu. This pop-up window allows you to save the search criteria and selected presets of a report for future use. It also allows you to share a saved report with others in the system, or to set up automated delivery of this report to your choice of recipients. You can then run and edit saved reports through the My Reports page. So when you first open up the Save and Distribute window, it will ask you to enter a name for the report and choose a reporting period. So I'm going to call this Popular Books by Holds. For the reporting period, it's important to note that if you choose the most recent X number of weeks, year to date, or the lifetime options, each time your report is scheduled to run, it will include updated information with the most recent week's data. Using the fixed reporting period option here will result in a static selection of data to be sent out. From here, click Next to share the report. To take advantage of the sharing features, you can toggle Share Report over to Yes, and then choose who to share the report with as you would in the Email Now functionality in the Download Email Now button. You can click Next to move on to the next window. Now that your report has all the information it needs to live in your My Reports page, as well as those of your group members, you can enter information to automatically share the resulting report, either internally or externally on a regular schedule. In this window, you can specify the file format and the size for the report that will be sent out. The frequency setting allows you to define how often you want to receive the report. You can receive reports currently on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. If you select weekly frequency, you'll continue to receive your report each week when the data goes live. If you select monthly frequency, you'll receive your report as soon as data for the last week in the month has been released. And in Sales Data and Library Data, we use the ISO standard month definitions. So to put it simply, the week containing the last Thursday of the month is considered the last week of a month. If you select quarterly frequency, you'll receive your report as soon as the last week in the quarter has been released, and annually as soon as the last week in the calendar year has been released to the site. Lastly, you're going to want to indicate when you want to start sending the report and when you want it to end. Start date is mandatory and end date is optional. If you leave it blank, the report will be sent as per your delivery frequency indefinitely, until you delete the saved report or enter an end date. And then below that, you can scroll down to find the Send Report section. Here you can indicate who you want to receive the report according to the schedule you just set up. Keep in mind that you may have already shared your report with group members in the previous share section. The Schedule section allows you to have the report automatically delivered to internal users or external email addresses on a regular schedule. So then finally, you're going to want to click the Save button to finish the process, and you'll find this report under the My Reports heading here, where you can access it whenever you're interested in getting at that report that you just saved. So that's everything on using the Download Email Now and Save and Distribute functions. These are really useful for saving you time if there's data that you want to be receiving as the information that we get into the site is updated, but you don't want to be coming in and generating reports every month. It's a really great way to streamline your workflow and make receiving data from LibraryData as easy as possible. To show what you can do with this information, I'd like to zoom into the public library market to see what's changed since our 2019 study, Borrow, Buy, Read, Library Use and Book Buying in Canada. To do this, we're going to look at the results of our quarterly Canadian book consumer surveys and leisure and reading study, as well as data from LibraryData itself. Some of the questions I hope to address are, how do Canadians make decisions on what to buy versus what to borrow? How are borrowers finding out about the books they're reading? And what are borrowers' preferences, especially comparing print and digital format reading over time? To start, when asked about the ways Canadians acquired books last year, we found that 33% bought a new print book, 32% borrowed a book from a public library, and 31% didn't acquire any books. Another question we had is, how do readers acquire books? The library was number 2 in print books, with 22% of all print acquisition, number 3 in audiobooks, with 19% of all audio acquisition, and number 2 in ebooks, with 25% of all ebook acquisition. This makes the library the number 2 source for readers acquiring books in different formats, with 22% of all acquisition. We also found that about 4 in 10 Canadians visited a bookstore, retailer, or public library at least once in the previous month, and 27% had visited a public library. When we asked readers how they generally became aware of the books they read or listen to, 38% said awareness was created at a bookstore or retailer, 30% from an author, 25% from a bestseller list, and also 25% from the public library. We also found that Canadians bought more books than they borrowed from a public library, about half of respondents reporting having purchased a book, but people who borrowed books also bought books at a higher rate than those who didn't borrow at all. Since both bookstores and libraries were closed at different times throughout 2020, it seems that awareness through browsing by library is primarily based on in-person browsing for print books, as digital checkouts weren't hindered by the lockdowns in the same way. According to borrowers, most visits to the library were to find a specific book or author, with 24%, 23% said was to pick up holds, and 17% said they went to browse displays and shelves for books to borrow. When we compare buyers with all respondents, those buyers who had visited a bookstore in person or online in the past month report to have purchased higher amounts of books for each format, print being the highest. Those who both bought and borrowed books purchased about 0.6 more books per month, on average, than those who only bought. Year over year, the data that we collect at BookNet proves the same point. Readers who visit the library buy more books on average than those who do not. Even though most public libraries across the country were closed for a large portion of January through August 2020, the library market reported close to 12.4 million loans of print books through LibraryData. 43% of loans were in the juvenile fiction and young adult categories, 25% of loans were adult fiction, and another 22% were adult nonfiction. For 2020, the most popular Canadian authored print books in the Canadian library market were The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, A Better Man by Louise Penny, and Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. And for a little bit more current data, for the week ending March 21st, 2021, the titles with the highest numbers of holds, so the most anticipated titles, are The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. If this kind of data interests you and you'd like to receive curated and relevant information on the library market, we've created The Borrowers. This is a newsletter tailored to library staff and library lovers. In this monthly, bite-sized newsletter, you can expect to see data about borrower behaviors, public library insights, information about readers in general, updates about BookNet products, and more. And of course, access to the research portal with up-to-date BookNet research on library trends is available through participation in LibraryData right from the homepage. So, that's the wrap-up of 2020. What comes next for LibraryData in 2021? In the upcoming year, our plan is to continue to increase the number of libraries participating in LibraryData and provide webinars, training, and other resources to help you leverage the data and research on the public library market available from BookNet. It's been extremely rewarding this past year working with various users since LibraryData launched to the industry in April. And here are just a couple highlights that we've received over the past year. One user from a library in the prairies shared with us, LibraryData is a great addition to our selection and collection development toolkit. It has a clean and straightforward interface that is easily interpreted by any staff member. We're excited by the rich genre and subject-specific information we're learning about our collection. And a library rep at a publishing house shared this with us as well. They said, "I'm very grateful for LibraryData. It's been a really great tool over the past year to see how the recovery has been progressing with library usage and make it possible for me to communicate that with our internal stakeholders. Being able to show a graph that says, look, here's the data, and have it represent a really good cross-section of the country, rather than just me providing anecdotal information, is a real game changer. So that's all from me today. Thank you for joining us for this overview of LibraryData. Like all BookNet products, LibraryData's future development is driven by stakeholder feedback. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with any questions or suggestions. And if you are a staff member at a public library in Canada, interested in seeing a demo of LibraryData or discussing the sign-up process, send an email our way and we'll be in touch. As a reminder, LibraryData is completely free for all libraries for the first year of subscription. I hope you enjoy the rest of Tech Forum 2021.